Welcome to Moon and Fire. I'm Emily Bailey, founder of Whole and Wild, where I guide women back to their sacred wisdom through ritual and cyclical living. This is a podcast for women who are ready to remember their sacred cycles, reclaim their radiant fire, and unleash their intuitive magic. Today, I'm honored to be in conversation with Raphaëlle Normandin, also called Raph.
Yay, thank you for having me, Emily.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. Raphael brings profound wisdom for initiating women back into their bodies, not through performance or perfection, but through sensation, slowness, and shadow. Mm.
Oh,
Yeah, what I find so powerful about your work, Raf, is that your devotion to helping women feel what they've been taught to suppress, the rage, the grief, the pleasure, and then meeting themselves there with reverence. That's such a sacred space.
yeah. And it's a sacred space and it's a kind of a misunderstood space or it can feel scary and it's just the richness in the dark, in the depth. Like, yeah, it's one of my favorite parts and it definitely is rich and kind of misunderstood.
Yes, and I love that. And I want to just say too, I'm so excited because that overlaps intimately with my work, which
Yeah.
I'm so excited about. I have my signature coaching experience is called Rewilded, and it's all about reclaiming the parts of you that you've shunned, that you've cast out, and remembering that we need all of those parts for our flourishing. And I feel like that's the same thing you're up to, but from another angle, kind of.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that about your work. Rewilded because I have a 3-year-old daughter and she is definitely wild and untamed, like the purest version. And I'm like, I want to preserve that in her. And I feel like your work is bringing us back to that 2 to 3-year-old wild woman, like toddler, like let me be and exist with my belly out and like full fire. And like that feels really beautiful.
Oh, it's funny you say that. I'm gonna just bring up a story that's coming to my mind. I have a 2-year-old boy, and we were at a coffee shop yesterday, and he is learning to play with other kids his age for the first time. And there's a little 2-year-old girl that they're just a few weeks apart in age, and this was their second time playing together. And it was that like it was this beautiful like um they both had fire in their belly about what was important for the other one to know, and like it was raw, and it was just so like innocent but like whole. And they had this whole range of like hugging each other and then like telling each other what they needed to know. And there was a little bit of mischief, and it was
Mhm.
a fun combination. I love that you are bringing it back to that 2 to 3-year-old self.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. It's a beautiful illustration.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love to go ahead and just dive in. You describe your work as initiating women into their bodies through what you call descent. Can you
Yeah.
share what this descent means to you, and what called you to this particular path?
Yeah, it's funny because now that I'm actually bringing this work out into the world, I've been doing this for like maybe the past 7 to 10 years of really being mindful of going down in my body because I was someone who was completely numb. I had lost all the sensation, and so my when I dove into this work, like I really wanted to go in and feel, but it's like I was kind of fishing for something without knowing what I was going to go get because I had lost it. So I was kind of like blind and just like feeling my way back into feeling. But what I realized, and it's like it was, I had such an aversion to feeling for such a long time that I couldn't even access it anymore. And what I noticed in people who are maybe less cut out is that there's like just a discomfort and like not really a willingness to go there necessarily. It's like, why would I want to go there? And so that's what's funny to me because when I found this work, I wanted to go deep. Like I was really looking for the feeling, the answer, the feeling of aliveness. Yeah, without like I had no expectations and I had no dread. It was just like, here's me plunging in. And so like that's what led me to look for this type of work. and I'm going all out and offering it, but I'm fully like aware that most people, it's like it's not the thing that they want, it's the thing that they need in order to be able to create what they want. But
Mm.
like, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Tell me about I love your fishing metaphor. It's funny. Yeah, that's just such a clear picture of kind of casting this line in and wondering what's going to come up when you pull it back. I love that. And even like the right, like feeling the metaphorical tug on your line of okay, something's there. I'm gonna reel it in and yeah,
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And be face to face with whatever comes up from the depths. It's
Right.
like, oh, hello.
Exactly. I love that. In your questionnaire, you shared a really beautiful story about the moment your first son was born, how you said time stopped, everything softened, and you were cracked wide open. You described it as the beginning of your descent, a sacred unraveling from who you had been into who you were becoming. Could you take us into that moment and what it revealed to you about your body as a portal?
Yeah. Well, that's where I touched the depths and the power of like this sacred, divine, feminine, like the raw, juicy, primal power. I was like, oh, I didn't know that was there. And it's so funny how I had this idea because I was very like in the masculine producing a result world. I was like, a pregnancy is not going to change me. A baby is not going to change me. I'm not going to stop working and my life is going to be exactly like it was before. How funny. Like, I have so much love and compassion for that version of me. And then, like, when I was actually in it, it was just like, yeah, you said it, like cracked wide open and like, oh, like this is it. This is like the more personal, the more universal. It's like the richness of all the women who have been birthing babies since the beginning of time. And it's like, oh, like this is the thing. Like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good. Yeah, like I felt myself straightening as you were describing it. Like my own body was responsive to that. Mm. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, can you, so you also, I know part of your core message is that our bodies are not problems to fix. Can you help us understand what it means to approach the body as a portal rather than a project?
Yeah. I used to think that I had a good relationship with my body until I dove into this work more deeply, where I realized I had more like a transactional and utilitarian relationship with my body. Like I was kind of treating myself like a workhorse. And so like it wasn't there was no like self-loathing, but there was definitely not like loving and caring and nourishing the body in that way. And the more I dove in, I was like, what feels loving to my body? Well, I learned that from my babies, and it's like feeding myself, nourishing things, and often, and drinking water and sleeping. It's like the basics. But when you're like in this adult life and producing results, you're like in your car and you're not drinking water and you forget to eat and like you don't sleep because you have so many things to do. And then it's like your body is obviously going to send you a signal that that's not what it needs. And then it's like you can work against it and say like, why is this stupid body not producing the result I want to produce? Or it's like, oh my, like your baby, like what do you need? What do you need from me in this moment? What feels loving? How can I meet your need? And it's like I just want to crawl and curl up in a little ball on the floor and like do nothing for a while because like I feel exhausted. And it's like all these parts. And so it's like there's the way, like there's your self-image, but there's also just like the little daily actions similar to any relationship that what makes the biggest difference is like how you relate with your body during like every little interaction throughout the days and the weeks and the months.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, well, and one of the things that's standing out to me as you're speaking right now too is I love that you're emphasizing the power of the little actions too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I think sometimes we get caught up in this idea that we need to go get a massage and plan a spa day, and that it has to be these big sweeping efforts, and that feels overwhelming because it's like, well, I don't have time for that, right? Like I don't, when can I afford to do that? versus what you're saying is actually it's moment by moment that's important.
Yeah, it's like eat a snack, drink water, sleep, move your body in a loving way. Like not performing anything, not trying to accomplish anything, just like, yeah, dancing, walking, stretching, but it's like intentional body movement is for me like one of the keys. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Yeah. I love that that's accessible, right? Like every moment.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I want to go ahead and dive in. I'm excited about talking about like the parts we've suppressed. So,
Yes.
yeah, you again, you're devoted to helping women feel those again. But I want to start by just asking like rage, grief, pleasure, why do you think we've been taught to suppress them? And then also what becomes possible when we allow ourselves to feel them again?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Why we've been taught to suppress them, I feel, has a lot more to do with other people's discomfort, um, with the amount of energy moving through and this kind of fear of losing control. So it's like with those three emotions, it's like you have so much fear that you think you're gonna like fall into this hole and never come out, and so much grief that it's kind of becoming unbearable, and so much rage that it could be dangerous and destructive. So it's just like a strong, powerful wave of energy that makes people uncomfortable because they don't know about it, they haven't learned, and then they're like, stop doing that because I'm uncomfortable,
Yeah. Yeah, and
is how
even
it feels.
anger, I think, right? Like on the other side of it, we think, well, why would I suppress pleasure? But I think it's the same story. I love
Yeah.
describing that as like a strong wave of energy that actually this kind of goes into the next part, like the idea of being in control, like us
Yeah.
kind of believing that that's where our power is and say more about that.
Yeah, I feel that's a big part. I think that we, especially as like feminine beings, revert to control when we feel like we are, yeah, when we feel this raw energy, it's like moving towards control gives this illusion of power.
Mm.
Um, yeah, like, but it's just like it's the fear of the unknown. So it's like you rather have like a known, dimmed down, suppressed version than like the unknown, really wild and powerful creation. But it's just like there's so much in there. But yeah, I would say that it's really the illusion of control of yeah, of power.
I think there's so much, like you said, that we could talk for hours about that one thing. And just like the idea of, okay, I think you describe it as being with versus being in control. And this idea of like, well, if I'm actually with
Yeah.
this emotion, where's it gonna take me? Like what am I gonna right, the unknown. Our nervous systems are constantly on guard around the unknown, and I think there's something like, I guess what comes up in me as you're sharing that is that what is required to free ourselves from that illusion um is trust. Like I trust is the first thing that rises up in me. Can you say more about what you, yeah, like what's your response to that?
Yeah, it's trust. Yeah, so I feel like that's where there is a piece that comes. So it's like trust in yourself, but in your capacity to hold the sensation, the power, the joy, like to hold it in your body. And it's like this other piece comes with like, yeah, being rescued or like being a little girl and like having people kind of like coddle you. It's like there's a piece about being biologically the weaker sex, if you like. And so it's like you equate that with like less capacity, but it's not less. It's like more capacity for the unknown, for the feeling. Less capacity maybe with your biceps and hunting, but like nothing has nothing to do. And so yeah, that it's like a powerhouse, but it's inside. And so the inner strength is so like people women are so strong. And it's like we're walking around like not knowing and feeling so like sadly so kind of in danger or like yeah, physically vulnerable. And it's like there's this mismatch between the inner resources and like the biological, physical, outer worldly. Like it's two worlds.
I love the way you speak about it too. I can tell you've done your own exploration, like you said, and also that you are just on fire for inviting women into that experience of what's actually already available to them that they're missing out on.
Yeah, and this gives me chills because I feel it feels so sad that like most women who have like this really deeply feminine system are kind of made wrong for feeling so much. And it's like that's their superpower, but like it's made wrong. It's like yeah, and it's like no, and that's so sad how you can like believe the illusion like believe something that's completely not the thing. And it's like so much love and compassion for believing the myth that like it's wrong or bad to feel or to be all of this like intense, fiery person.
Mm.
And that like you should somehow like be able to control and put it together and produce a result at all times. It's like no. And it's just, yeah, I just see this disconnection everywhere, like inside of me and then in all other forms, in many different types of women, because I was more like the masculine performative version of it. But it's like there's just so much hurt um in women's systems and bodies and like this disconnect and this feeling of really feeling wrong or bad for just existing when it's like your superpower.
Yeah. And one of the things that caught my attention in your responses before our interview was you mentioned that even our rage can be devotional.
Oh yeah.
I love the word devotion. That's actually been a word that's been personally showing up in my ear. But I'd love to hear like how do we approach our shadow emotions with devotion rather than as something to transcend or fix?
Oh yeah. It's hard to really put into words, but it's really coming from a place of, yeah, of surrender. So it's like there is power in receiving. There's power in surrendering. It's like not a passive thing. It's an active process of really be willing to be open to what's there. And so in choosing to go deeper into the feelings and the emotions, so it's like the trust of your capacity to hold. And then it's just like trusting that like nothing lasts forever. And even the most intense consuming grief is like beautiful because it's divine. It's like it's an expression of you. So it's like if it's like saying like to a flower, like you're only allowed one petal and the other ones like are not allowed to exist. And they're all like just different versions or different types of flowers. And it's like, yeah, so it's just the beauty in this expression of human experience that is rage and grief or any emotion. It's like it exists and therefore it's perfect and it's beautiful, or else it wouldn't be there. So it's like just go into it because it's there for a reason.
Mm.
And there's a cost to not having access to it.
Yeah, say more about the cost.
Oh yeah. Well, the rage piece for me is like the boundaries. So
Mm.
your rage, your sacred rage is going to tell you when your boundary has been passed, trespassed, or yeah, or is just even coming up close. It's like it's valuable information to know and to connect with that anger of like, whoa. And if you don't have access to that, then like you get walked all over you like a yeah, like a mat, a floor mat. And it's like no one wants to be a floor mat. So it's like, yeah, it's all parts of it.
Ah, yes, I'm so passionate about the power of sacred rage and reclaiming that. And I love the boundaries piece because I think that's one of the things that we're so afraid of, right? Is we know that rage disrupts, right? And it's meant to. It's meant to be disruptive. And we've been taught disruption is bad, right? Like keep the peace, let things stay calm, right? As opposed to sometimes things are not right and there needs to be truth telling. There needs to be a boundary set in place where there wasn't previously. And
Yes.
I think there's just something, I think there's something so powerful about that shift from like, well, like you said, being walked on like a doormat versus like a woman who shows up and says something needs to change. There's
Yeah.
something that is unjust here, or there's something that isn't true here, and let's burn that away. Let's allow rage to speak in a way that is sacred.
Yeah, and the whole piece is the connection. Like I connected the dots again in motherhood. It's like this fierce mama bear energy of this is what is required for me to give these little beings what they need. And it's like I'm allowed and like it is necessary for me to protect my space, their physical bodies, and like just assert that in a way that nobody messes with the boundaries. So it's like just in your energy. And so in this reclaiming of the rage for me, like I'm physically tall and quite strong, like muscularly. So I really had that belief that like my anger was dangerous and destructive and like could hurt people. And in all the practices that I've done, like letting it all out in a safe container with like pillows and then it's like, this is so fun. This is so liberating. This is so allowed. And then it's like, it doesn't come out anywhere. It's like you're just kind of like let it out in a safe context and then like yield it when necessary and just like yeah it's like just giving a taste instead of it being like all over the place.
Oh, I love that. And I think you're hitting on something I've seen a lot too in my work is women this might be humans, but specifically I work with women, right? Like women feel really afraid that if they allow their rage or fill in the blank, their grief, their whatever, to be a part of their landscape, that it's going to take over and that the rest of them will suddenly not, right? Like they're going to have this whole personality change, is kind of like the belief. Can you speak to that at all? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, it's like allowing something to move versus taking over. That feels to me almost similar to like inner child pieces where it's like, who has the hands on the wheel? It's like all parts are allowed to exist. You're like in this bus going forward, and it's like, who has the hands on? And you can let like anybody come forward and speak their truth, but it's like you don't need to hand the controller, the itinerary to any part of you, like you're always there. But it's like for sure, if you let go of the wheel and you're like, I have nothing to do with this, this is not my anger. Well, then yeah, the anger is gonna go like, okay, party, and it's like blast of oxygen and explosion. And then it's like it confirms your idea that like it's dangerous and disruptive and bad. But it's like it's just because you haven't learned to kind of like like not contain it, but like express it in a held way and like upwards or down versus like out in a prickly way at people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear the train in the background?
No. Can you
Okay.
hear my kids upstairs?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
great. The train's going on. It's fine. Yeah, I love that. Oh, and I think that that's such a great example too, right? Like the very thing we think we're doing by suppressing it, like keeping it under control, it's actually like giving it permission to burst out and be out of control as opposed to be like integrated in a way that allows you to be a woman who has access to it when it's time in a way that is tempered by these other parts of herself.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said.
Thank you. Yeah. One another thing, I there's so much we could talk about here. But I want to kind of come to the practical, like I love rituals, right? And so you talk about like a floor practice. Can you share more about that?
Is it in regard to any emotion or which?
Which one would you like to share? Whatever you feel drawn to.
They're all really beneficial and like these practices I've learned from Demetra Gray, who really, yeah, she was my introduction into this world, into more feeling. And it's just like creating a space where you get to feel. any type of emotion, but it's like you choose to consciously move into it and see what's there versus like it showing up at any time, at any given moment. And it's funny because Jordan Gray, her husband, they both work into like the coaching industry and like relationships. And like he even introduced to me the concept of like kind of pre-grieving a thing that you know is going to be coming, or like, yeah, it's just um breaking things down again in little accessible chunks. So it's like saying that you devote yourself to like 10 minutes of crying every day. Well, then you're gonna lie, curl up in a ball in your bed, put on sad music, bring up the sadness and really allow it to flow in that moment. And then like your body, it's like just knowing that that little piece is going to be allowed to exist. It kind of like helps for you to be able to function in the grief. So it's like instead of wanting to fix it or like, yeah, having it go away, it's like I'm devoting 10 minutes per day to grieving. And if ever there's more, there's more. But it's like I have this time. And again, it feels similar to children where it's like we can have 10 minutes of special time together where I give you my full attention and presence. Well, that's going to help with so many other different problems that arise when it's like, can you put on your shoes and your coat? We need to get in the car. No, but it's like, if they have that little special time that they look forward to, that they received or that they want to have in the future, then it's like everything else is more simple. So like that's the piece with any given emotion. So it's like yeah, so that's the grief piece, but like rage, similar. It's like you put yourself into this really fiery energy where you allow yourself to, similarly to a toddler, like actually do the like the bacon on the ground and like stomp your feet and like, yeah, and your fists. And it's like purposefully get there and like connect with that rage.
Mm.
And yeah, so for me, there's so much alchemy in there. And I've worked with like sexual energy also. So that's where I touched it the most, where it's like, I'm having this sensual practice and then like there's a prompt of like connect with your rage and your grief and it's like screaming in a pillow and then like feeling the waves of like pleasure almost with and then it's like, oh, this is so fun and so liberating, and it's like just putting it all together and like having everything blend in. So it's like there's so many practices, but it's like just intentionally diving into one thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
The joy that is in your voice and on your face as as you're sharing about this is just so luminous. It's beautiful to hear you speak about this.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about your 4-week initiation. Can you tell our listeners more about that?
Okay, this is going to be so fun. So, obviously, it's offered in person in French here in Quebec, but I want to offer like a recording version in the French world. And then I think I'm going to launch it in English and have this similar experience. And then, obviously, it's going to be more online and less local. But for the local version of it, I found this pole dancing studio downtown here.
Wow.
And I was like, this needs to happen here. So it's like, it's 4 weeks. And I'm only going to include like two somatic practices, like ritual, like we were just saying. And so like the first one is simply introducing breath and sound in order to feel. But it's like we're not used to that. And then again, in pregnancy and giving birth, I connected with those primal sounds that you don't know where they're coming from, and they're so deep, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I want to open that up because it's always accessible. And it's just like, we don't typically make those sounds. We typically, yeah, it's like so it's just permission to open. So it's like just the breath, the sound, and then seeing what comes up. Because when you're in that space, we shared breath together. But like if we were to make sound together, there's like this harmonization of our beings and then this opening, and it's just like it creates something really magical, like song and sound and all of that. So like that's one practice, and it's quite simple, but it's like when you're not used to going there, just that can bring up so many things to the surface. So like that's one thing. And then the other session will be a pole dancing session where the studio owner is going to lead women into just like sensual movement. And then it's like, again, your body, like seeing yourself in the mirror and through the eyes of other women and seeing everything that comes up when you're like half naked doing this sensual movement. Like, what comes up and the sisterhood wounds and like, but it's mostly you and you. It's like you and yourself in the mirror and like, who am I to be doing, to be so fully expressed? And then obviously, like, my holding of these women through the whole process is just like seeing what comes up. And like, obviously, like the shame, the blame, the guilt, the suppression will come up. And then it's like freeing up whatever needs to be freed up. And that's just like a little taste because what I truly am passionate about and want to be doing is like this for like 12 months. And so it's like we're going back and we're going back and we're going deeper and deeper. And then the more things surface up, the more you can just really allow them to be lifted and transmuted and released. And so it's like there's this different choice of words between like fixing and like I don't know what other words are because like they're so like a foreign part of my vocabulary now, but it's more like dissolve and let go and transform and welcome. And it's like so it's like a really inward energy versus like I need to get rid of this thing that's there
Yeah.
that's blocking me. Even getting rid of a limiting belief or like getting rid of a block. It's like
Mhm.
it's just we're just welcoming things. We're fishing again for things and like yeah, and then we're looking at the fish and then we're throwing it back into the water and saying goodbye, have a nice life. It's just like you're welcome anytime. But yeah, it's yeah, so that's the 4 week initiation that will be happening here in Quebec locally.
Oh, beautiful. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, so the place will be Instagram. And honestly, like this is a thing that I've been juggling with. It's like how do I marry the English and French versions and like in my work. But yeah, so definitely Instagram and Facebook and my website. So like when I create content in English, that's where it's going to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can find her website listed in our show notes as well when this episode comes out as well. Um, so yeah, is there anything else that feels significant that you'd like to just hit on or pass on as kind of a takeaway as we come to the close of our time together?
Yeah. Um, I think it would be like you said, because what came throughout the call is like the small steps, the accessible pieces. So I would say, especially to like mothers or anybody really, but it's like when you feel this feeling, we'll like go with the rage because it's been so present, but like when you feel this feeling of like bubbling, boiling rage,
Mhm.
instead of like suppressing it, one of the things that I love doing is like, I just need 2 minutes, 5 minutes. And let's say I was with the kids and my husband, I'm like, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And then you go to your room or like a sacred space and you just scream into a pillow, but you scream and scream and scream and then you can shake your body, like just shake and kick and shake and just let it go and breathe. And most of the time it's gone. And it's like, oh, but it's like the energy of keeping it in requires so much. And I have this saying from Alison Armstrong that I love. She says, it's so much more energy to keep in a fart than to actually fart. So it's just like,
I
I was
love
like,
that.
that's so true. It's like you're like walking around and like tightening your butt. And it's like, no, just fart and then it's gone and it's finished and people forgot about it. It's like, it's
Right.
so, and then versus like holding it in. So it's just allowing yourself to release whenever you can and just like create this space for yourself. And it doesn't need to be complicated or big, but just releasing it. Then it's like versus keeping it in your body like that whole day and then it's like exploding at your children or your husband or it's like, yeah, just let it move. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's such a clear picture too. I love that. That's awesome. Raph, thank you so much for bringing this profound embodied wisdom to our Moon and Fire community today. I just really feel like your reminder that our bodies are not problems to be fixed, but portals, and that everything we're feeling is medicine. It feels like permission that so many women need to hear. And I think the way that you speak it with so much joy, it's contagious. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Emily. I love your work and like the fact that you're putting out there and holding women through these portals, these initiations, and this return to the self.
Yeah. Remember the sacred cycles, reclaim your radiant fire, unleash your intuitive magic. Thank you for being here, Sacred Woman. Until next time.